How are you trying to aim when you're out on the golf course? The chances are you're getting it pretty wrong, like most people do. It's not hard, but it can be very detrimental if you get it wrong. And I'm going to show you one of the biggest mistakes that people make and the very easy fix. If you find that you're fidgeting quite a lot to really calibrate your brain and your golf swing for where you want the ball to hopefully go, then you're going to really love this simple visual. Now, you may have heard about train tracks and how utilizing those to give you the parallel visual to help you aim better at golf, to find that neutral. But I'm going to show you something that 95% of you are probably doing wrong. You're aiming with your feet, the toes of your feet, okay? This is what is messing you up. And I want to show you, with the aid of this path, when you utilize the heels, you're going to have a much more predictable neutral setup and stop the fidgeting. What most people don't realize when they approach their shot, if you're doing well, you're choosing an intermediate point, okay, that's where your start line is. And you're kind of setting up your foundation around that. You then place your feet down, and here's where it starts to go a little bit wonky. And here's where some of the fidgeting can start. Because subconsciously, if you feel a little bit uncomfortable, or even consciously you feel a little bit uncomfortable, a lot of times, yes, it's the hip alignment, the shoulder alignment, the arms, the club face. But one thing people do not even pay attention to is the toes. If I was utilizing this path as a straight line to give us an idea, and I put this alignment stick down across my toes, that's quite square and straight. If we kept going on those lines along there, that would be pretty straight, and that would give me a neutral setup. However, what we actually want is a slight flaring of the toes. We want, 25, 30 degrees with the right toe here to be flared out. That enables our pelvis and our hip turn to be able to wind up just that little bit easier. If we turn this in, we have restriction. So we do want this flared out. And just by doing that alone, what can happen is this alignment stick, all of a sudden, okay, it's rolled a little bit, but all of a sudden it starts going a little bit to the right, okay? Now that is actually, it's only minuscule, but if we kept going that way, it's going to send us, 20, 30 yards further right to what we were envisioning with this straight line. But I'm like, okay, I'm straight because I've got it on my heels here. But the problem is we don't look at the heels, we look at the toes. And the problem gets even more problematic when we flare out the left foot or your front foot. If we turn the feet square, but let's say we have that out, we're a little bit further right now. But if we turn the left foot flared out, about 45 degrees, again, that's going to help us rotate, clear out the way, and get through a darn sight easier, especially for older golfers, okay? We don't have to accelerate as much and get the body out of the way just by flaring this out. However, when we flare that out, what happens is, you see the toe actually moves further around. Now you can see quite clearly, by flaring this foot out, my toe line is actually aiming quite a ways left compared to this heel line. And what happens because of that, you think, well, that's not too bad. If I'm aware of it, that's one thing. But what often happens is we're now looking down to find our aim, okay? We're looking at our toes. We're not paying attention to the back of the heels. So that's where the fidgeting starts. That's where, okay, that's straight. Okay, yep, that's straight. Now my shoulders are going to aim a little bit further left. My hips are going to aim further left because in my mind, this is parallel straight to what I want to be. This is the neutral. But in actuality, everything is now going left because that's what I'm sort of judging myself on. That's what I'm comparing myself to. So how do we stop it? Here's what I want you to do. Use a path out on the golf course, a road, some tiles in your kitchen floor, wherever it might be. And I want you to set yourself up, but I want you to monitor the heels getting in a straight line, okay? That's what we're looking at. I know this grass isn't perfect, but you get the general idea. Now what I'm going to do is get my feet positions how I want them to be. I'm not looking at my toe line. I'm not paying any attention to that. I'm looking to here, okay? I'm looking through the legs, down at those heels. Do they feel parallel to my target line that I was doing? And my target line is set from my intermediate point, okay? That's the straight line that I'm after. And I'm setting my heels to sort of calibrate against it. I'm ignoring my toes. So when you're practicing perhaps home or on the range, instead of putting a alignment stick on your toe line like this, I would suggest that you try putting it on your heel line, okay? Making sure that that's parallel to where we want to go, and that's where we're stepping into. And now we can mess around with the feet, but we can calibrate ourselves in a much more quicker, succinct way that we're not having to fidget quite as much, and we know that we're at least nailing that neutral alignment every single time. And when you're on the golf course, what do? Well, you want to always be choosing the intermediate point, as I mentioned earlier, okay? So you're picking out the little spot in the ground. And what I will do is I'll set the club up first, okay? I'll take my grip, I'll set the club up first, then I'll set myself down, and this is what I've practiced and rehearsed as much as possible. I'll set myself down, but I'm not looking at my toes. I'm looking at my heels. What I'm seeing is a straight line going this way that my whole body is sort of aligned against. My backside, my back, my shoulders, and then from there, I pull the trigger and swing. And that's the little routine that you should practice and get comfortable with, because it's going to create less fidgeting, it's going to give more confidence, and it's going to help that process to execute shots a lot better. So let me know if that's something new for you. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for watching. Check out this video next, because after you get the right setup, you need a good start to the swing. And this one does it so easily. See you next time.